Welcome back to the Science Fictionary, everybody. I'm Andrew, and I'm here alone tonight. This is going to be a little different, and I'm just going to hang out for a few minutes. I've sent out an open invite to the Red 5 family, so we'll see if anybody pops in for the night. But otherwise, we're just going to touch on some of the things going on in the world of science fiction and fantasy and some other things. We will kind of give everybody a few minutes to pop in here, see if anybody's going to show up. But let's see. So we do have a new thing that we're working on here to try to help kind of get the YouTube channel going a little bit better. And um, I'm going to be doing probably not every morning, but probably 3 to 4 mornings a week, a solo show where I'm just going to talk about what happened the day before or what's happening today in science fiction. So we've got some new stuff coming with and the goal for that new morning show will be for it to be a 10 to 15 minute little breakdown where we will just talk about what's going on and what's going on in Red 5 for the day. So looking forward to getting that going. Lunar Girl, welcome to the chat. Looks like I picked a night to do this when everybody else was busy. So I'm not sure how long I'll be able to keep going by myself here, but thank you for joining me in the chat. If Dragon Buddy is nearby, I've got some stuff I'm going to show off here in a minute that I'm sure he would be excited by. But I do want to talk. We've got some cool things going down in science fiction and fantasy right now. I mean, we've got some cool shows. Like there's a lot of shows that have kind of had a little trouble. Star Trek has really sputtered the last couple of years. I'm really hoping that the new series is going to be good. I am excited. I did enjoy the rebooted Star Trek movies. I've not really enjoyed the shows that much, but the movies I enjoyed, and I'm excited to hear that they're finally have a 4th movie in that series coming. So hopefully they can get back on track. But there are some good science fiction shows, not as many as we have. Like the late 90s, early 2000s were really the heyday for science fiction TV, which is kind of coming back a little bit. I mean, we're getting a little taste of that with all the Marvel stuff, but it's a little different. Like, we have Moon Knight coming out, which looks absolutely fantastic. But we're just going to have to see how it goes. But right now, I mean, just from the advertising, I really expect it to be the best of Marvel's TV series to date. Which currently I have Hawkeye at that top spot. But, we get some of those and they don't really fall into the sci-fi. A lot of comic book characters fall into the sci-fi category. This Moon Knight is kind of one of the rare ones that's going to fall a little more fantasy than science fiction. And that's cool because we don't get a lot of that. Dragon Buddy has joined the chat. So at least there's 2 of you here now. So, Moon Knight does look excellent, though. One that I'm going to talk about eventually. I'm not going to get into it tonight because I want to talk about it when I have some people to talk with it about. But one of the best sci-fi shows on TV right now is Resident Alien, and I think that show is being overlooked by a lot of people because yes, it's a comedy, but it's also got a fairly serious storyline, and it's a little darker than the trailers kind of made it look more goofy than just a drama with some comedy elements. And Alan Tudyk is absolutely fantastic. It's one of these roles that he was born to play. He just, there aren't a whole lot of people out there that are easily believable as an alien. But Alan Tudyk pulls that off pretty well. So Nick, glad to see you in the chat, Nick. One of the things I want to touch on is, this is a big one. I know Nick's excited about this one with, Amazon finally closing their deal with MGM. And I know I'm assuming that means most of the lawsuits have been that they've managed to get past most of the lawsuits and everything, because it looks like the deal actually closed, which just brings us one step closer to getting Stargate back on TV. Which, when you talk sci-fi franchise, it is it may be the third biggest out there, or as far as TV series, it may be the second as far as sci-fi TV series, with only Star Trek really being ahead of it. Even though I still, if you know me, if you've listened to the show for a while, you would know that I do put X-Files as potentially the best science fiction series ever made, top to bottom. But we've got some cool stuff. It looks like we're finally getting Stargate back. It looks like we will probably um, be getting Firefly back. It's going to feel a little like the early 2000s here for science fiction for a little bit, but hopefully both of those shows really focus on telling good stories, because I really think that that's the biggest problem right now with science fiction. Science fiction, and I don't want to make it sound like I don't think science fiction's always been used to push agendas, because it has. I mean, or not just to push agendas. And I think that sci-fi's at its best not when it's pushing agendas, but when it's presenting ideas in a way to make you think. They can introduce things and give them to you in a very subtle way. Um, but Lunar Girl, now that I know you like X-Files, I'll have to have you on when we start doing X-Files episodes again. It's been a little while, but we were doing a first watch through with David, and we made it through the first season, and at some point we've got to pick that back up. But he's been deep into Star Trek for the last year and a half. So hopefully we'll come back around on that. I appreciate the use of the in-universe cursing there, but yeah, I mean Firefly. That's one you have to get it right, because the fans of that one, it's such a niche thing that it doesn't have the widespread fan base of a Star Trek or a Star Wars. It has a very strong cult following, and if you get it wrong, they're going to abandon it quickly. And so, yeah, they have to get that one right. The upside is, I know a lot of people that, and I was kind of in this camp for a while, and I think some of my co-hosts here are kind of in this camp where they really don't want to see new Firefly made, because they're afraid it's going to taint the old show. And I guess the way I look at it now is, I want to see something new in the universe. I want it to be great. If it's not, then I just won't watch it. I'll throw it out, and I'll still have one season of the best science fiction ever put on TV. But yeah, it's a very strong fan base there, despite being a little bit smaller of a fan base. But I'm glad to see that they're bringing it back now, because it's one of those that I don't think you could wait a whole lot longer and bring Firefly back. While we're kind of talking about some of this stuff, though, if there's other science fiction series or even a movie that you would like to see come into, uh, become a series, or be continued in a series, let me know over here in the chat. Um, but yeah, Amazon closed the deal with MGM for $8.5 billion. So that's a big deal. MGM, not only did they pick up the studio, but it kind of looks like they may get by acquiring it. When they did, it looks like they may pick up a couple of Oscars for Amazon in the deal when the Oscars happen here coming up. But we'll see about that. Another big piece of news. This isn't actually news. This is kind of going back, but it's leading me up to what I wanted to show off that I wandered into. Kind of wish I hadn't found in the store earlier, because it made me spend money. But Peter Jackson sold Weta Digital last year to a gaming studio for $1.6 billion, to Unity Software. And I kind of remember that happening. We never really talked about it, and I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. But I was walking around Walmart, and I didn't realize that Weta had gotten into competition with Funko. But I'm going to see if I can show these off here. I had not seen these, and I hadn't pulled them out of the box yet, but I'll show them off a little better when I get them out of the box. But these figures are absolutely incredible. And I picked up the Gandalf figure this evening. And one more, if I can get the glare off of it here. It's kind of hard to see. I need to pull them out of the packaging and show them off. But it's the Witch King. And these are the coolest. Now, granted, they are in a higher price bracket than Funko Pops. I discovered that pretty quick. Otherwise, I would have bought all of them. But they are very, very cool, well-made pieces, and they are made by Weta. And you might get lucky. I found these actually on sale at Walmart. So they look like, there's a few of them out there for sale, at a sale price right now, which was about 2/3 of the original price. That's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Nick. Like the Firefly fan base. It's a small, very, very passionate fan base. So you got to tell a story that's going to make them happy. It's not a growing franchise right now, and it has a very specific audience, and you're really going to have to dig in and continue the story in a way that honors what came before it. And I'm a little concerned because there was talk that when they reboot Firefly, that they're going to ignore the movie because Fox didn't own that. That was done by, I believe, Universal. So they're just apparently going to completely ignore the events of the movie, which on one hand sucks because they set up a lot of really cool stuff and really fleshed out the world in that movie, but it also means that Wash isn't dead. So I guess that's a plus for sure to have Alan Tudyk come back if that's what they're doing. Um, let's see what else. I don't have a whole lot else. I kind of covered what I wanted to talk about. So what's going on? What is everybody else in the chat watching right now? Sci-fi, fantasy, anything like that? What are you watching, or what are you really looking forward to coming up? Obviously we've got some big stuff coming up this year with the Lord of the Rings series, which hopefully is good. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people who are already giving up on it, and I'm kind of holding my breath, but it's it's going to be it has the potential to be really, really good. And I hope that it's a really good series, even if it's not immediately identifiable as Tolkien. I mean, it needs to be identifiable as Tolkien, but I don't think it has to be a perfect Tolkien story to be a really good fantasy series. Yeah, Moon Knight, Kenobi, those are both huge. I've been looking forward to Moon Knight for a while, but Moon Knight's one that I don't know just a ton about. But I'm excited for it because of that. Because a lot of times I walk into these, it's like the Lord of the Rings thing, or a Firefly thing, or a Stargate thing. I walk in with really, really big um, ideas about what the series should entail, and so it is kind of nice to be going into one like Moon Knight where I don't really have. I'm not anticipating what should or shouldn't happen because I don't know the story. Yeah, Dragon Buddy. It does do more dark humor a lot of times than silly humor, and I've got friends that I can't get to watch it because they watched the trailer, and the trailer kind of presents it as this goofy slapstick kind of comedy, and that's really not what it is at all. It's a very interesting, compelling story that they've been telling. That's awesome, Nick. I'll have to ask you more about that one and see where I can um, check that out. But I'm trying to think of, let's see. Yeah, they are doing, they've actually established an entire new studio just to handle, the Last Airbender property. So they're gonna build a whole new series or a whole new studio just around the Last Airbender property, and we're gonna get at least one live action series, and I hope it's good. I had been really, really excited when they were doing the movie, and I think the movie did some things okay, but overall the movie was very disappointing compared to what is without doubt one of the greatest animated series ever made. Coincidentally, where Dave Filoni started out. Yeah, so we do have an some Doctor Who stuff, new Doctor Who coming. Nick, who's going to be the new Doctor? I always have to get Nick to come talk because this is the I've just never been able to get that into Doctor Who, which makes it probably the single biggest gap in my science fiction knowledge because it's just such a huge property. I am curious to see, Nick, what you think about. I see that some of the talk about going for a little bit more of a Marvel-esque flavor to Doctor Who, which uh, yeah, I don't know what they mean by that exactly. And I suspect that longtime Doctor Who fans probably wouldn't be, that giddy about that announcement. What else is even out there right now? I mean, we have the Orville coming back, and then I don't know if anybody in the chat watches the Orville, but um, I'm still convinced that the Orville is the most pure Star Trek made since Star Trek: The Next Generation. So, yeah, I mean, is anybody else here in the? So I see Dragon Buddy watches the Orville, but that quickly became one of my favorites. I'm still dumbfounded that knowing that Seth went to Fox and pit or went to Paramount and pitched a Star Trek show. Um, it very much in the fashion of very much in the fashion of the Next Generation, and they just flat turned it down. Now, obviously, they had other plans, but their other plans aren't really working out. And the Orville has definitely been one of the best Star Trek series in a long time, even though it's not really Star Trek. I mean, it's this is the equivalent of George Lucas making Star Wars because they wouldn't let him make a Buck Rogers movies. They wouldn't let Seth make a Star Trek film, so he went and made his own. So, and right now, I think it overshadows Trek because Trek is really sputtering. What do y'all think about? I mean, we've got this new Star Trek series coming that we kind of thought was going to be more based on the original pilot, and I guess it is. And I am excited about the series. But what do y'all think about them adding Kirk into that series? Because I really felt like that was what they've had going for them on this series was that it wasn't going to be Kirk centric. And so I don't know how adding Kirk in and trying to keep him as a side character is going to work out for him. I can certainly see that, but seeing that he understands Gene Roddenberry's vision better than apparently anyone at Paramount currently, it seems like it would have benefited them to have let him make a Star Trek series. I can see the concerns because of his style of humor, but I don't think it was really his intention to interject that into Star Trek until he was able to until he made his own, and then he might as well make it his own by putting his humor in it. Yeah, no, I get that with the Star Trek stuff. It's I'm gonna watch Picard just because I wanna see how it's going, although it sounds like season 2 has been sort of a disaster so far. I'm waiting on Marisha to come home to watch that one, so we'll probably start that one later this weekend. But, um, yeah, I mean, I'm just not that interested in what they're peddling as far as Star Trek. I know some people love that Lower Decks series, um, but it is so far removed from Roddenberry's vision that I just don't get it. I don't understand. It's one thing for other people to parody you, but I think it says something totally different when you become a parody of yourself. All right. Well, again, I'll mention this again because I don't think everybody was in the chat when I started, and then I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. And we will try this again next Friday. We will be back to a regular 5 o'clock spot, or I'm sorry, 8:30 Central Time spot to cover the Marvel series. And it seems like once that comes out, that we will kind of have a lot of stuff coming back to back. So, I did see Lunar Girl that you asked about a release date for the Bad Batch. I'm not real sure, because they had kind of announced a season 2 release date, and then they kind of backpedaled on it, and everything I see now just says 2022. I think the assumption is because the Kenobi series is short, because I think they moved Kenobi up. So I think that we will probably see Bad Batch right after Kenobi. It would be my guess, unless they have something else they're moving up. But I would assume that they're going to want to run that one over the summer if possible, especially with the Wednesday release dates. With kids being out of school, I think that makes more sense with the Wednesday release dates. So, but I guess we'll find out. But we do have a lot of Star Wars, a lot of Marvel stuff coming this year. The big series, the Lord of the Rings series from Amazon. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming out. I just hope that it's all good. Um, but the thing I was going to mention again, I'm going to probably, just for the sake of trying to grow this show a little bit more, I am going to be starting I'll probably start it off at 3 days a week, that I will do a quick 10 to 15-minute show to kind of hit the news items in science fiction for the day, as well as to give me a chance to plug some of the other things going on in the Red 5 network for the day. Nick, I have not watched Halo yet. I'm there's a few shows I need to watch. I'm waiting for Marisha to come home. Um, so I will probably Marisha's finally coming home after 6 weeks away tomorrow. So I'm sure we will start getting into some of those series later this weekend. Yeah, see, I actually think that the lower deck stuff feels more like Rick and Morty, and I mean, I'm gonna sound like the old person here, but Seth MacFarlane is way more clever than the people writing Rick and Morty. Um, I think that, to me, the humors are very different, but it may just be totally in my head. Yeah, Lunar Girl, though, that new show, I'm planning on doing it. I might pre-record them initially. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. I'll either pre-record them the night before, or I will live stream sometime. Right now, it's going to be hard to lock down a time, so I will probably pre-record the night before and drop them early, like 8, 9 o'clock Central, um, in the morning. Probably right now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My problem right now, Dragon Buddy, I do see, being hesitant on the Halo. Um, from what I understand so far from friends that have watched it, I mean, I'm a huge Halo fan. I haven't really played it. I haven't liked a Halo game since Halo 3, to be honest. Um, but I don't like. So what I'm hearing from friends that I used to really play this game a lot with is that it looks really cool. It looks like Halo, but that the story is completely different. And that has been really a hang up for a lot of the people I know that have been watching it. So, yeah, so I'll definitely get with you on that, Lunar Girl, because one of the things I intend to include in this show is going to be kind of a daily update on what is coming out for the day, or for even for the week, or I can start promoting some of the bigger shows people have coming up ahead of time. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night, and because I didn't prepare enough to go very long on my own here, but um, I'm going to wrap up. And let's see, is there anything else I need to cover? Um, we will be back to recording. I think we will have new episodes of Coruscant Radio Underground and the Science Fictionary starting this week, and we're going to try to get back on a weekly schedule, and instead of just kind of when we can make it happen. And so Science Fictionary will go back to a 2 a week schedule, and Coruscant Radio Underground to a 1 a week schedule. And of course, that's going to get a little easier with more Star Wars starting to happen. And I do think that we will be going to Star Wars Celebration in May, and we'll have an opportunity to um, we'll probably do some live streams from Celebration, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, you can always find me on Twitter at crew_podcast, at CRU_podcast, or at thesciencefictionary.com. You can find us at Red 5 Network on Twitter, along with the rest of the Red 5 Network. And if you take a look at the bio link pinned to the top of the Red 5 Twitter page, you will find a bio link that will take you to all of the rest of the Red 5 podcast family. And I promise you, you want to go look at that. There are over 30 podcasts in the network now, and there is literally something there for everyone. So I guess that's going to do it for tonight. So until next time, may the Force be with you.
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.